everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a summer book haul, and this is a collective book haul. I have been buying books like crazy this summer. In total I bought 31, and a lot of them I bought while I was in Dallas at the half price books. I don't feel too bad because I did buy them discounted, but still that's a lot. So now I'm on a book buying ban. I don't know how long that'll last. Actually, I put that book buying ban like right after we left the half price books for the last time up in Dallas, because I think I've mentioned it on my channel, I don't have a bookstore here where I live, so when I go to like a half price books, that's, you know, I go crazy. So yeah, I had myself in a book buying ban, and then I went to Target the other day and I bought a book, so I don't know how long it'll last, but I seriously need to stop. Okay, so I want to share all the books I bought this summer, and yeah, I won't get into too much detail, but I will give a little bit like of what the book is about. I'm just gonna get started. Okay, so the first book I bought was like an anticipated release last year, and this is Ruth Ware's The Death of Mrs. Westaway. This one is about a woman who gets a mysterious letter in the mail, and it's saying that her grandmother has died and she's to go to like a house or something like that and get her inheritance. And so she goes and things start to happen, and so yeah, this is like right up my alley, this type of mystery. It's kind of spooky. So yeah, I can't wait to read this. I've been saving it for like a good fall day, and so hopefully I can read it like around September. That's kind of like my goal, like around September I'm gonna read this. So yeah, I love this author, so I'm really excited to read her work. Her newest book comes out in September, so watch out for a haul. I will for sure get that. Next one I have is a graphic novel, and I bought The Rat Queens Volume 2 by, oh, there's so many authors, Curtis Weeb, Rock Upchurch, and Stefan Sejic. But yeah, I love the artwork in this. The Rat Queens, they're like a ragtag anti-hero group of women who fight crime, and they, you know, there's magic, and yeah, it's just so good. The artwork is amazing. So like, this is an example of the artwork. Yeah, the artwork is just amazing, and they're just so funny, and like, yeah, I love this. I read this like in 30 minutes, and yeah, it was so good. Okay, next I have like a series, and this is the Caraval series, and I actually bought the first one like a long time ago, and I just never read it, and I don't know why it took me so long to read it when it's just like my favorite fantasy series at the moment. I gave, well, at least I give the first two 5 stars, and I'm in the middle of the last one, Finale. But yeah, and the covers are just gorgeous. For sure my favorite cover is the first one. So this is the second one, Legendary, and then the last one, Finale. And yeah, I just love this one so much. Like I said, I'm on the like in the middle of the last one, and I don't want it to end. I hope she writes another book soon. These series made me feel like a little girl again with like fantasy stories. I love it so much. So yeah, love this. Okay, next I have 2 Kristin Hannah books. So I read a Kristin Hannah book, my first one, back in May, and I read Homefront, and I loved it. I gave that, I don't know if I gave it 4 or 5 stars. So I bought 2 more. So first I have Magic Hour, and this is about a 6-year-old girl turns up, and so this detective is trying to find out like where she came from, and it's kind of like tying into her own life. I just can't wait to read it. I love her writing style. So with that being said, I also bought another Kristin Hannah book, and this is The Things We Do for Love. This book follows 2 women. One is an older woman who just had a divorce, and one is a 17-year-old. I want to say she just ran away. So it's about their bond that formed. Her stories are so emotional, and yeah, I can't wait to read all of her books. Next I bought a Nicholas Sparks book, and I have no idea, oh, this is called Dear John. I have no idea what it's about. I hate that it has a movie cover on it. I just really wanted a Nicholas Sparks, since I have not read any of his books, and there's such like a staple to like, you know, romance movies. So yeah, I'll keep you posted when I read this. I have a rom-com. This one's called The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory, and I just love that it has like baseball on it. So basically, this is about a girl who is going out with this like famous actor, and he proposes in a baseball stadium in front of like so many people, and so she's like unsure like what to say, and so she goes like on a kind of like a rebound, and so yeah, it seems really good. It's, you know, rom-coms are awesome. So yeah, The Proposal. Next I have a Colleen Hoover book, and I want to say I bought 2 Colleen Hoover books in this haul. So yeah, this is the first one. This is November 9th, and I want to say this is about 2 people who like they meet like right before she like leaves, like she moves, and the guy's like a novelist, and so they decide that like every day November 9th they're gonna meet, something about like fate, like they just so happen to meet that day or something like that. But it turns out that she's not sure if he's just kind of fabricating his whole life just to get a good synopsis for his book. So yeah, I love Colleen Hoover. I mean, they're all kind of hit or miss as far as like being problematic, but I mean, I always fly through her books. They're kind of like a guilty pleasure. I love Colleen Hoover whenever I need like a good, fast-paced book. The last Colleen Hoover book I bought was Without Merit, and this is about a family who live like in an old church, and they're kind of like a problematic family, and I want to say one day she runs away, and that's all I know. So yeah, I'm not really sure what it's about, but it's Colleen Hoover. I know it's gonna be fast-paced, I know it's gonna be good, and you know, like a guilty pleasure, so yeah, I need to read it. Next, I have a book that I've been kind of reading throughout the whole summer, and this is An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, and this is actually the Women's Prize for Fiction, so it is the winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction. And yeah, I'm like halfway through. For some reason I cannot pick it back up. I like everything I'm reading, I just don't know if it's too heavy for me, but then again I have been reading really heavy books lately, so maybe I can read it again. I don't know, I really want to like read it before August starts, but I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I like everything I've been reading. This is about so it's a couple, they're like newlyweds, and somehow he gets involved in this, he gets blamed for a crime that he did not commit, and so he gets sent to jail and they're there for like years, or he's there for years, and so while he's out, the woman, her name is Celestial, like kind of gets involved with another man, and so yeah, it's just like a really heartbreaking story about like being faithful to your partner, and yeah, everything I've read is so good, I just don't know why I can't pick it up. But anyway, yeah, I need to get motivated to read. Next up on another series of books, but I only have one of them here. So I read I read A Study in Charlotte last summer, and I loved it. And so this is the second book, The Last of August, and then I have bought the third and fourth book. I want to say I bought the fourth book. But yeah, I'm also like not halfway, maybe I am halfway. But for some reason this book is so boring. I cannot pick it up again. I want to finish it because I bought the third and fourth book, and I'm kicking myself for like jumping the gun and buying them all. But anyway, yeah, I'm like halfway through and the plot hasn't even started. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this. Next, I bought a new release. This is called The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, and this takes place during the civil rights era, like Jim Crow era, and it is about a reform school in Tallahassee. And so this boy gets sent to a reform school, and this is actually a real reform school, but the thing is they kind of abuse the boys there. I'm excited to pick this one up. I've heard a lot of good things about it so far, so I want to see what all the hype is about. Okay, next I bought The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Is that how you say it? I don't know. I know this was so hyped, and I actually have already started this. I am on page, so like 50, around there, and I was reading it with my husband, but I cannot read a book with my husband. He's so slow. We were only reading like 2 pages a night, and I was like, no, I can't do this. So yeah, I decided to like read it solo, and I'll just give it to him whenever I'm done with it. This is about a woman who, she's like married, and you know, they have like the perfect life, or like, you know, seemingly perfect life, and then one night she's found over her dead husband's body, and I want to say she's holding like a knife, and she has blood all over herself, and then she refuses to talk. So ever since her husband's murder, or her husband's death, she has not spoken a word, and so she's I don't know if she's sentenced to like jail or like just a psychiatric hospital, but yeah, basically like, she's accused of the murder, and so this psychiatrist is sent to like go work with her and try to get like the story out of her. And so yeah, I actually have been loving everything I've read so far, so yeah, I want to get back into it and just see what's gonna happen. Next I have the second book of Sarah J Maas's second series that she wrote, which is A Court of Mist and Fury. And yeah, I'm like a quarter of the way into this. Um, yeah, it's a slow start. I've started a lot of books and they're all really slow starts for me right now, so I don't know. But then again, I read 12 books in July, so I just don't have time for slow books right now. But yeah, this is the second book of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I loved the first book. Not so sure about the second book, at least not in the beginning. Maybe, hopefully it'll pick up. I'm not even halfway, so yeah. Next I have historical fiction, and this is The Innkeeper of Ivy Hill by Julie Klassen. This is about a young widow whose husband had owned like an inn. I think it was like in the family, so like before her husband owned it, like her husband's father owned it and so on. And so her husband had died and she has to take over, you know, being the innkeeper, and you know, her mother-in-law kind of runs it with her, or like helps out, or I guess she lives with him, I'm not really sure, and they don't really have a good relationship, and it takes place in the 1800s, and that is all I need to know. I love historical fiction, and yeah, it just looks so good and the cover is so pretty, and yes, I'm really excited to read this. Next I have another series that I bought, and I've already read half of the series and I have 2 more books left. So back in April for the Owls, I read The Iron Trial. It was a new book I had discovered, and so after I read it, I needed to read the rest of the series, and so I read book 2 and 3 for the reading rush. And so this is The Copper Gauntlet and this is The Bronze Key, and yeah, if you don't know what the Magisterium is about, go buy it. You don't even need to know what it's about, just go buy it. It's like Harry Potter, but different magic, totally different characters. It's just, it's so good. You need to go get it. It's a middle grade, so it's really fast paced. And so I also bought the last book, The Golden Tower. So I have book 1 at home, 2 and 3 here. I cannot find book 4, and this is book 5. So yeah, I just finished The Bronze Key yesterday. Yesterday, and it was so good. I need to read the 4th one and I cannot find it. One of you all had commented to find it on eBay. It was I forgot her name. Was it Izzy something Izzy? If you're watching, comment below and say hi. So yeah, you told me to go find it on eBay. And so I think I'm gonna do that soon because I need to read it, and I cannot, every bookstore I go to does not have it, so I'm going kind of crazy. But yeah, I love this series so much. Just go read it. Okay, go read it. Next I have a second book of another series, and this is called Hunting Prince Dracula. This one, the first one was Stalking Jack the Ripper. It was so good. I loved it. So this is the second book, and yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I just love like the creepiness of it and like the morbidness of it. So yeah, this is about a girl who wants to be like part of the family business as far as being a mortician, and so like I guess that's all I can say because in the first book some things happen. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. So just read the first book, and then if you've already read it, then just pick the second book up. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. I love the first one, so I'm really excited. Next I have another book that is kind of like a marriage story. So this is called Fate and Furies by Lauren Groff. This is a book that I just bought because I heard about it and I bought it, and it was on sale. It was $5, so I bought it. And I want to say this is also about a marriage, and then like kind of like there's like a twist, and like it's not all what it seems. So yeah, I was really intrigued by the cover too. It has like waves, like water, so I really wanted to read it like before summer ends. Maybe I'll read it like in September because it's not like too fall, but it's not too summer, it's just kind of in between. So yeah, it's just a pretty cover, and it was $5, and I love stories about things that are not all like they seem. Next I have a book that I bought for the book club for Tales and Teacups, and this is The Tattooist of Auschwitz. You'll have to watch my wrap-up to know what I thought of it. I did not like it as much as I thought I would. So yeah, this is by Heather Morris. This is her first book, and yeah, this is about this is a true story. So it's about a man named what's his name, Lale? Yeah, a man named Lale who is, you know, he has to go to Auschwitz, the camp in Auschwitz during World War II, and he gets chosen to be the person who tattoos the prison numbers on all the prisoners there. And so he meets a girl there and they fall in love. So it's essentially like a love story and them having to survive in the camp And so yeah, it's really sad and like not, you'll have to watch my wrap up, but yeah, plot twist, I bought it. Another historical fiction I bought was The Secret Life of Bees by Sumit Kid. This is a really famous like book. I'm sure everyone's heard about it, and it's also a movie. I've never seen the movie or had never read the book. I read it for the reading rush and I loved it. This has become my favorite book of all time. Maybe not of all time, but it's up there, okay? And yeah, I loved it. This is about a girl who, this is also like during the civil rights movement, and so she has like her kind of like her live-in mother because her mother passed away, and it's like not like a nanny but kind of, and she's African American, and so one day she insults the nanny. She insults some of the most racist men in her town, and she gets into jail, and so the girl decides to break her out of jail, and they run away and they go try to find out more about the girl's mom who died. So yeah, it's so good. They stay with like a family of beekeepers, and yeah, it's just so good. It made me like want to like have honey toast. So yeah, this is really good. Next I have my favorite rom-com I have ever read, and this is Waiting for Tom Hanks by Kerry Winfrey. This was so funny. It was delightful. Although now that I think about it, now that I remember, it takes place in the winter, and I read it like in the heat. So I might want to reread this in the winter. So yeah, Waiting for Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks. He's my favorite actor. He will always be my like celebrity crush, even in his old age. And so yeah, I loved the concept of this. This is basically a girl named Annie Cassidy who is obsessed with rom-coms. Her mom died, and one thing that they always connected on was rom-coms. And so when she died, she just held on to that. And she kind of like lives with her uncle, and she just has not left her house. And so she's kind of like stuck in her life. She doesn't have anything going on for her. And so one day she kind of gets this opportunity to meet this like really famous celebrity, and he's one of those celebrities that are like kind of obnoxious, and so she gets to meet him, and it's kind of like hate to love in the beginning, and then it turns into like just love. So yeah, it's really good. I loved it so much. It was like watching a movie. It was exactly what this book reminded me of. I totally forgot I bought another Colleen Hoover book, and this is Verity. The reason I forgot it was a Colleen Hoover book was because it was nothing like she had ever written before. This is her first thriller, and it's a romance as well, but it's mainly like a thriller. So this is about a young struggling writer. She gets hired to finish the series of another famous writer's series. So she has to go to her house and look through all her papers and finish the series. But when she gets to the house, she kind of notices that things are kind of weird. She finds like an old manuscript of something that was like not supposed to be published from this writer, and it's an autobiography, and it's just really disturbing. I actually really wanted to read this one so bad, and I could never find it. So I found this at the half price in Dallas, and the reason I wanted to read it so bad, someone on Instagram, she was saying that this book made her feel sick, and I was like, a book that makes me feel sick? And I don't know if it necessarily made me feel sick. It wasn't like the most disturbing thing on the planet, but it was pretty weird. And so yeah, if you don't really like romance, you just want a thriller, this is a good like start. Next I have another thriller, and this is called Baby Teeth by Zoji Stage, and I really want to read this. It might be like the next book I pick up after I finish reading Finale. So yeah, this is like, I want to say it's like a dual perspective. And so first we have Hannah. Hannah's 7 years old, and she is not like her mom. She, I guess, is like jealous that her mom like kind of keeps her, or like stands in the way between her and her dad. And so she decides that she has to do something about it. Then you have the mom. Her name is Suzette. And Suzette loves her daughter, but like she's always acting out, and she's getting kind of like scared of her, and her husband does not believe her. Hannah is capable of doing anything to her. So yeah, this is kind of like an interesting concept, and I'm really excited to read it. Okay, we're nearing the end. Next I have another Nora Roberts book, and this is called The Dark Witch. This is book 1 of the Cousins O'Dwyer trilogy. And so yeah, this is like an interesting concept. I don't know, I always think of Nora Roberts as like a romance author, but she read a fantasy. And so yeah, this is about like, I want to say it's like a group of sisters who are like witches, or something like that. And that's all I know. It takes place in Ireland. That's all I know. So yeah, after I read my first Nora Roberts like earlier this year, I want to like read more about more of her work. So yeah, this is another one. Okay, next I have beginning of a fantasy duology. This is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I know that the second book was really hyped earlier this year, and so it seemed like an interesting plot line. And so yeah, this is about a girl who, when she was 7, her parents were murdered and her 2 sisters were taken to like the Fae Kingdom, I want to say, or the High Court of the Fae. She decides like that she's gonna like get her revenge or something like that. And I want to say the thing I heard about it was like a hate to love relationship, or like a hate to love trope. So yeah, she gets involved with the prince, yada yada yada. So yeah, it just seems like really interesting concept. Next I have a book I bought kind of like on a whim, kind of, and that is Pan's Labyrinth. For those of you who have not watched the movie, that I think it was like an 80s movie, watch it. It was like so good, and it was so like creepy in a way. And so yeah, and I saw the book, I was like, yes. And actually I had seen it earlier this summer, and it was kind of expensive for like a book that, you know, I hate to spend like 20 bucks on a book. Like that's, to me, it's crazy. So I said, okay, next time I'll get it. And then next time came, and I thought, oh well, you know, I'll get it. And so yeah, it just seems like a really cool concept, and it's kind of like a storybook type of thing. Like it's like a fantasy storybook, and there's illustrations. And yeah, I originally bought it to like be like a fast page turning type book for the reading rush, but I just skipped that one, and I read another book instead. So yeah, I'm actually picking this up in August, so yeah, love it. Okay, my last 2 books I have, they're historical fiction, my favorite genre. So first I have this one called The Bookshop by Penelope Fitzgerald, and I saw it, this is a cover by, and then I saw the price and I was like, okay. And I saw it because I had all these books on it and I thought it was so cute, and it was called The Bookshop, and it's really short. And this is about it takes place in 1959, and this woman named Florence, she's a widow, and she opens up a bookshop in a town where people don't really want a bookshop. They don't really want to have that in their town. And I want to say that's like the plot of the story. And then it's a movie, so it seems like a popular book because it was shortlisted for a prize. So I'm gonna read it next month. The next book I have, actually, yeah, I bought this, actually, another thing about it, I bought it after I told myself I was not gonna buy any more books. This is The Song of the Jade Lily by Christy Manning, and this is something that I saw it, I thought it was interesting, and then I read the back and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read it. And it takes place during World War II, and so it has like a dual perspective, dual timeline. One part takes place in 1939 in Shanghai, and the next part takes place in 2016 in Australia, I want to say. Yeah, this is just like a multi-generational story, and oh my gosh, I can't wait to read this. I'm actually reading it next month too. So yeah, I can't wait to read this. Oh my gosh, this is like one of those books where I saw it and I thought to myself, that's gonna be a 5-star read. So I'm hoping it's as good as I think it will be. Okay, so I am done. Those are all the books I bought. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to lift all of them up. I'll lift up some of them. Okay, these are all the books I bought. Not all of them. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's not too long. It's already kind of long on the recording. So yeah, those are some of the books I bought. I can't wait to read them all. Look out for my next video. I'm gonna do my Newts TBR because I am participating in Newts. So yeah, and don't forget to comment a book that you want to recommend to me. So yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.